Philip, a resident of Abuja, is a young, enterprising person who is planning to get married soon to his betrothed Rosie, daughter to one of the nation's big politicians. Philip is more than a regular suitor. His Christian services in church and to the less privileged makes him the signer of ladies' eyes in his local church, and has often been used as an epitome of Christianity in their youth fellowship. Working offshore in the Niger Delta with one of the major oil producing companies makes him all the more a standard. Being in that age bracket where childhood friends are marrying away at the speed of light, he often had weddings to attend, and wherever that journey led, he went.
That's just an excuse. These people that are getting married, they have crossed their rivers and they have spent good time together. But you...
That's not it, Belle. We'll just be away for not more than 3 days. I'll be back
3 days?
Time together.
You're talking about 3 days as if it's a child's play. Do you know that it took Jesus 3 days to die and resurrect?
Seriously?
And you're talking about 3 days as if it's just nothing.
Wow. Wait, you're fast becoming a pastor now.
Same was his unfortunate trip to Warri that led to an accident involving a young single lady.
Calvin. Up back. Go back to it. Hey, sorry, oh. Sorry, sir.
Owing to the prayers and efforts of brave doctors, her life was saved, but not without grave consequences. Doctors' reports said a probability of conception is very slim after the bouts of surgery to save a leg and a womb. Family meetings, police involvement, and lawsuits. Weeks and months later, Philip is still at a crossroad. Not is his belief that he should bear responsibility for the outcome of texting while driving indecisions. South is the victim's father's demand for marriage as the only settlement out of court that he would accept.
That's why we are here. We have already spoken with our daughter, and we have come to a conclusion. Yes. That the only reason that matter can be struck out of court is when he agrees to marry her. Okay, sir. That is true. My friend, that is final.
That's the best option. That's the best option. Okay. That settles the matter.
But wait, let's still consider this.
West is his relationship with Rosie and the looming threat from her father if he cancels a relationship for which dates have been chosen and has been communicated to politician friends home and abroad.
Why is it out of court? Do you mean to tell me that I cannot afford a good lawyer?
No, sir, that is not it. I can, but I'm a Christian.
Oh, I see. So I'm a pagan. You mean you have come inside my heart to insult me?
No, sir, that isn't my intention.
What are your intentions, man? What are your intentions?
If your plan is to embarrass me before my honorable colleagues and my distinguished friend from all over the world that are come to grace this wedding, then you must be mistaken.
Do you know how many senators are coming? Do you know some Nigerian ambassadors to several European countries are coming? Just barely 8 months you are doing this. Oh my God.
You have to excuse us.
This disgrace is too much.
His reputation as a de facto standard for Christian youth if he makes a wrong move. His battles are far from over.
One time President of America said, Theodore Roosevelt said, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is make the right decision. The next best thing you can do is make the wrong decision. And the worst thing you can do is do nothing at all. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Decision. Today's topic is hooked, and I have 2 guests to join me to dissect this rat. Just close to me is the very beautiful looking Mrs. Ogechi Ubioro. She's a legal practitioner with Ubioro and Ubioro. Welcome, ma. Good to have you. You look beautiful.
Thank you.
And our regular customer, which this month is his anniversary, is wedding anniversary, Reverend Victor Ekpe of CGMI. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be here.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Okay. We just go straight to the issue. We saw the clip. If you didn't see the clip, you could just rewind a little and see the clip. The video clip I meant. Okay, what's the effect of forcing your word or forcing someone into marriage because of circumstance? It could be forcing your word, forcing your friends, even forcing yourself. And circumstance could include, for financial benefit, probably the intended spouse, is financially buoyant and to help you, or it could be something like this, like something happened or someone got pregnant for someone and they have to get married. What's the effect, ma?
The effects, in fact, I would say that's a recipe for disaster.
Okay.
That's a marriage that was already doomed from the beginning. And first of all, in law, you can't even force someone to get married. In law, at least under the laws of Nigeria, because consent, for there to be a valid marriage, there has to be consent. A consent that is real consent, not forced, not under duress, not a consent obtained by fraud. So, for 2 adults to be able to have a valid marriage, both of them must have agreed that they want to get married.
Okay. So just give us the legal consequence. What is the non-legal, not illegal now? Okay, the psychological, the emotional. What does it have on the marriage?
Well, it all depends. You and I know that in this country, lots of my aunties were forced into marriage and they lived happy. They married 30 years, 40 years, 50 years.
Did they actually live happily? There's this song that talks about
just allow me land.
Okay.
It all depends. Some people were forced into marriage and then they got there, they made up their mind that they were going to, this is it, and they were going to just make the best out of it. That's not to say that's what I would love to do. It depends on the individual. But the truth of the matter, if I were in that young man's shoes, I won't want to be forced into marriage, because you could be forced into marriage. I've seen someone who was forced into a marriage like that because the lady was pregnant, and then the situation, if she did an abortion, it was going to cost her life. One way or the other, it was forced into marrying her, and there were lots of negative consequences on the way. And so, if I were that brother, I won't get into that marriage because of, I'd rather go through the court proceedings and be jailed and do my time and come back.
But let's still leave the brother alone. I think I was supposed to be general.
He really can't be forced.
Okay, but for generally, for other people, for just, I think we'll come back to him, to the person in question. For people out there that are like that they're trying to go into a marriage, not because they actually want to, but because of circumstance. I want us to, in clear words, like in highlighted words, tell them how things can get bad and how things can get good.
You have a choice. Most times people actually think that they don't have a choice, but in life you actually have a choice.
Okay.
It's just that you might think, okay, if I do this and this turns out, I might not like the consequences. I don't want to live with the consequences.
Okay.
For example, maybe I'm from a poor home and then a rich man wants to marry me, and then I think, okay, I don't want to continue to be poor anymore, so I have to marry him so that I can be rich. But you actually have a choice not to marry him and just remain where you are, and things would get better. That you are poor now doesn't mean that you would be poor for life. Yeah.
Okay, well,
So let me say this one to ladies especially. Like if you're a lady looking at me there, if you force a guy to marry you, you could succeed. He gets married to you and then he decides to punish you for the rest of your life.
Okay.
And we've seen people who, you see clearly that this is a punishment. The guy could eventually get married to you and for the rest of your life, he treats you like trash.
Yeah.
And he begins to have pleasure outside and punishing you. So what are you going to gain? So if you're a lady, I would advise you don't force any man to marry you.
Coming from a man, I think ladies should take that seriously. Okay, now let's talk about the fiancé a little bit. That's the fiancé of Rosie, I think that's her name. The fiancé of the man in question, and let's make it general. You know, we have a lot of ladies that are put in a place where they're innocent, but they're victims at the same time. Maybe from the actions of their fiancés. For example, this one. Now she's caught in between. What kind of advice can she give? Or for some others, maybe you're dating a young man and someone comes from nowhere, like 6 months after you guys started dating, and says, the last time we were intimate, while we're still together, I got pregnant and now I'm pregnant and your wedding is closed. So ladies that have their spouse, their male spouse in that kind of situation, how can they deal with it? Reverend Victor?
Well, I'm not a lady,
Okay.
but what I'll tell a lady like that is, you know, you as a lady, you have to make up your own mind, because I want to get married to this guy and then his ex is pregnant for him. If I get married to him, there will still be that thing between him and that ex, you know. So it all depends on how, if you believe in your man, you believe that he says this is a thing of the past. So it depends on how, if you look into his eyes, do you believe him? Because most of the times you get married to the man and you're still going to share him with that ex for a very long time. So as a lady, it's on you. Personally, I don't think I would like to. I would like to say, you know what, good enough, I really would have married you, but because of this situation now, why don't you, I would love to encourage the man to please go and marry that your ex. Let me go to somebody that I will not be sharing with somebody else. Okay. If I were a lady, I would not love to go into something like that.
Okay.
I agree with him. If, for example, the example you gave about maybe a pregnant ex shows up, personally, I would not go in. I wouldn't want that baggage.
Okay.
And it also tells me the kind of person I'm about to enter into marriage with. That he's somebody who, an ex, depends.
Like this happened innocently. Like it happened like when they were still together.
Can I pause you? Can I pause you a little bit? You see that ex? I don't know. Are we talking about Christian relationship here? For crying out loud, your ex that you were dating just now, you have put something inside there.
Something happened. We cannot.
No, I'm not married that kind of guy.
Okay. Now we're judging that guy. Let's talk. Okay, what about for
Rosie?
Something like Rosie, for Rosie.
For Rosie, I would ask her not to give up on him yet.
Okay.
Because this is not like this was
a
mistake.
Yeah.
She shouldn't give up on him yet. But she also has to watch. It also depends on the decision he is going to make.
Okay.
If he's still willing to marry me, then I would go ahead with him. But if he decides that he doesn't want to marry me and wants to make himself out to be a martyr and go and marry the other lady whose legs he broke, then that means I won't have any other choice but to give him up. I can't force him to marry me.
Okay.
But for now, I'll ask her to wait while all these issues are sorted out. Okay. He can still marry her. He can still marry her.
So she should be more patient and she should show more support, because right now she's in
she has to go down on her knees in prayers.
She has to support him.
Mark 11:23. Whosoever shall say to this mountain, she should go on her knees and pray.
Because even in marriages, issues also rise up.
Okay.
Issues come up. How would you handle them? That's the mark of an adult. How do you handle issues?
Can you just say, handsome guy like me, just let me go like that?
We'll be right back on that. Okay, don't go anywhere. We'll just take a short break. Join us. Welcome back. It's two decisions, and the topic is hooked. Let's get right back. So let's talk about the future father-in-law of the young man in question. What's the best way, or what are the other options we could do? How do we deal with him, his threat, and all of that, man?
For Rosie's father.
Yes.
And I think just like we told Rosie, he's older, so you would think that he should understand how these things work.
Yes.
Just a little time and the matter will be cleared up. There's no need putting pressure, so much pressure. He's already suffering pressure from the victim's parents.
Yeah.
So I think he should be more understanding. The marriage will still go on. Eventually. But just a little more patience with Philip, and I'm sure everything will be cleared up.
Because of time, I'll just go to our next question.
But sorry, are we talking about the one with the father-in-law with political?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a tough one for him, especially if the date has been fixed and he's already told this, so that's where it becomes, so I will ask him, whether you're a politician or not, I'll tell him my advice for him is that he should pray. You should pray. I know that it can be embarrassing to go tell your people, sorry, I'm taking your time, but my younger sister was to get married and something happened on the wedding day. The wedding could not hold because my father was unavoidably absent. Wedding had to wait for 4 months, but the wedding still held. Heaven did not fall down. So you should just calm down and prayer will fix things.
Okay. Then how do people that are in Christians are in positions where they have other people looking up to them, how should they make decisions? Should they make decisions thinking that person is watching me? Like, is there any guideline they should set?
You know that, first of all, you are a minister. You know that you influence life, you affect life. So the decisions you should make decisions that will not make your voice to be silent. Because whatever you do now, 5 years to come, 10 years to come, because you are a minister, you will not be able to have a voice in certain areas because you compromise big time.
What's the thin line between that and then being too cautious, like looking at people first before you know what you're doing?
It's not about looking at people, it's about the Bible standards. It's the Bible standard. Before people begin to, people are going to be saying things about how you have compromised on the standards that God has put in place. So it's not about people, it's about you and God and what the Word of God says you should do.
Okay, let's swap the question.
But I also think let's also know where to draw the line between pride and so that you don't become prideful. Thinking, oh, I'm the moral standard. You are not the standard. You are supposed to look up to Jesus. You are not. You are a human being. You are imperfect. You are also liable to make mistakes. So it's not for you to think I'm so wonderfully perfect and I cannot afford to maybe just fall down at a particular time and get up. Then we also who also look up to people also have to be careful and remember that they are also human beings. They are also working out their salvation the same way you're also working out your own. So I think we should also give them a little bit of slack sometimes. I don't expect them. It's only Jesus that is perfect, and we were asked to look up to.
So in other words, we're saying we cannot necessarily make our decision based on.
No, you don't make decision based because your situation also might not actually be the same person, the other person's situation. Yeah. So the person might have made a decision that fits that particular purpose, as long as it, like he said, obeys the laws of God. But your own situation might not exactly be on all fours with his own. So you might not be making that. It won't be acceptable to make that same decision that he has made. For example, if we use this Philip's situation now, you will think, okay, that I should go and marry her because that's the right thing to do. 5 years down the line, you're having problems in our marriage, and the marriage breaks up. So now you're now a pastor who is a brother, a wonderful, morally upright brother who is a divorcee.
Okay, Victor, what are the other options right now? So we are at this point already for a Philip. What are the other options? Okay, I think before you even answer, I want her to give us the legal consequence. Okay. If he's taken to court, what's the worst case scenario?
If he's taken to court, if it's a criminal suit. If you state because it's an offense.
Criminal and civil?
Yes, okay. It's civil and the criminal suit. He has obviously broken the road traffic laws. Okay. Driving recklessly, causing an accident. At most, he will get 6 months to 2 years imprisonment. Okay. If he's imprisoned, as if he's convicted.
Is there an option for fine?
Yes, he can also get an option of fine. I mean, I know it sounds small, but really, he won't even pay more than 5,000 naira according to the law. But where he will actually have a problem will be the civil suit. Okay. Because they can bring a civil suit against him. For negligence, she will get damages for her pain, for her suffering, and
for the womb
that's been lost. in fact, loss of earnings, if there are other things, maybe she cannot, because of as a result of the injury, she can't work again for the rest of her life, can't earn a living for herself, she can ask for future earnings and all that. So, but that would cost money. But the court would never ask him to marry. In fact, the court would not ask him to marry her.
So you
cannot make that
probably just lose a lot of money.
So all he's going to,
He might not only lose a lot of money, he might also lose his job.
His money he would lose.
Okay.
No, he might not necessarily lose his job because
he might, because
if his employers decide to retain him, you can't.
He was not on an employee trip.
No, that's why I say he might lose his job. Some companies, depends on his employers. Texting and driving and getting, so some companies.
As long as he was not running an errand for the company.
That's why I use the word might.
No, it depends. So he might not lose his job, but a civil suit, all it will cost him really, it's
a lot of money.
It's just money. That's what it will cost him. You won't even in a case of breach of promise to marry, the court cannot order you to marry
the person.
It will.
Okay, let's look at other. So what are the other ways? How best could you think you should approach the situation?
Well, the best way, the brother would definitely, if I were that brother, I won't want the case to go to court. I will want to pray to God to have mercy on me, and I know that I believe that that God will intervene. Like the Bible says, soft answer turneth away wrath. How you talk to the people involved also matters. Take the matter to God in prayers, and I believe there will be a miracle. God always gives people second chances, so I trust that God will be able to take care of the situation, that he won't need to go to court, he won't need to go to jail, and he won't need to be forced to marry that girl.
So you should not make that decision rashly. You should calm down and let's see how things play out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So final words, is there anything you'd still like to say, Reverend Victor?
To
people in
those situations, like I said earlier on, the sister should not just give up, and then even the girl involved in that accident, don't force him, don't join your father and family to force the person to marry you. If the person is taking care of the responsibilities, the bills, and that's just okay. It's not like anybody planned for that to happen.
Okay, ma'am.
And like I agree with him, and it will take time, but this will too also pass.
Yeah.
It will pass. It will take time, but everything will always be resolved at the end if everybody involved just have a little more patience, especially his father-in-law and his fiancée.
Okay. Then finally, we asked a question on decisions. What's one of the best decisions you've made? Can you tell us one of the best decisions apart from getting married and giving your life to Christ?
Okay, you've already taken those two answers away. But my answer will also have to do with, apart from giving my life to Christ, I don't know, I won't say that, I hope it's not like I'm advertising a church, but I love the church I attend.
Okay.
Because from there, I've attended other churches, but one thing about my church is that there you're taught to take responsibility.
Okay.
You are taught to learn. Most churches I've been to, there's so much burden on the pastor, everybody wants to pastor, but the church I attend, you are taught to do these things yourself. Because in the day of trouble, pastor is not going to be found. What do you do? So in the ministry I have learned so much, and I think that was, for me, it was a very good decision I made, and that's really impacted in my life. I've seen myself grow, and I'm happy I went to a place where I could take advantage of that.
Reverend Victor?
Okay, I've made several decisions, good decisions. I would say one of the best decisions I've made is to give a house to my younger brother, to free him from the burden of house rent. And it didn't look like it was a very cool decision, but how it impacted on the family and on their family, and it really made me happy that I did a thing like that, because there were other options, but I decided to, and they were so happy about it, and I think that's one of the coolest decisions I've made. I'm happy I made a decision. I'm happy my wife allowed me to also make the decision.
Thank you very much for you. It's been nice. I really enjoyed having both of you here.
Thank you.
Well, if there's one thing I've learned, is the fact that be patient. Eventually everything will fall into place. Do not rush to make decisions. Thank you for joining us. Please do not forget that there is no wrong time to make a right decision. So make it anyway. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Lift your head up to the sky.